Quazi here. Every single moment that we're alive, we are continually tested. Thousands of years ago, in ancient yogic culture, they knew that to be alive meant to be immensely uncomfortable. The Buddha said it himself, life is suffering. Please think about this. When are we the most comfortable? When we're idle, in a state of non-growth. The most extreme of which is death. Death is when we are the most comfortable. Since the beginning of civilization, cultures all around the world have recognized the importance of tests for young people passing into adulthood. Completing these tests was seen as necessary preparation for the responsibilities that life would inevitably bring. If you look through history, you see countless examples. The Spartans in Greece, who had brutal military training programs for boys to turn them into fierce warriors. The Native American tribes, who sent their adolescents into the nature for several days without food or water, with the goal of them finding their life's direction and purpose. Or take young samurais, trainees who were expected to show courage, discipline, and loyalty during harsh training in martial arts, literacy, and etiquette, which would prepare them intellectually and physically for service. Compare that with today's day and age. Modern life seems designed to shield us from struggle as much as possible. While comfort and safety are important, it's clear that removing challenges altogether could have a very damaging effect on someone's growth. Because when you're not given the opportunity to build resilience, you may end up fragile, dependent, and lacking the grit necessary to navigate through life. If you are someone who has dedicated your life to excellence, to mastery, to becoming the best version of yourself that you possibly can be, you'll be faced with tests from the universe, and you are being faced with tests from the universe every single day. But here's the thing, while the majority of people would avoid these kinds of hardships in life, you should embrace them. Why? It's these setbacks that are a true test of your character. And it's the universe asking you, are you prepared to live in the reality that you desire? Because the universe will continually test you, and when it does, you have two options. Option number one, pass the test and reap the rewards of gaining newfound strength and wisdom. Option number two, fail the test and be tested again and again until you have the courage and strength to pass it. But that's not to say that experiencing these tests is easy. They can be so debilitatingly difficult that they can begin to make us think, have I made the right decision? The weak-willed get convinced by their doubts and give up. The strong-willed persist in spite of their doubts until they emerge from the darkness. That's why in today's video, I don't want to just give you the tools and resources to help you survive life's tests. I want you to conquer them. So in today's video, I'm going to be sharing with you how I've personally slayed my demons so you can learn to recognize and identify where yours are and how to destroy them. To fully understand this and to master it, you have to understand the three main laws via which our material reality operates. So if you're sick and tired of experiencing the same patterns in your life and you finally want to break free, let's get started. To understand the very first law via which this material reality operates and how to pass the tests, I want to share with you a story, something that I've personally encountered that really led me to this realization. See, back in May in 2019, I had one of the worst night of the dark soul moments of my life. If you've been following my story, you probably know that initially I got into this journey because I wanted to quit my 9-to-5, quit being enslaved to a job that I would work in for 40 years for the rest of my life, and then begin to live my life after retirement. I didn't want that, and I didn't know what to do. So I tried many different things, dropshipping, affiliate marketing, everything. I just wanted to live the laptop lifestyle. I just wanted to go online and live the life that would give me freedom and just escape working in an office job. I just didn't want to follow someone else's orders. By May of 2019, when I'd graduated, I had made an agreement with my parents who had paid $250,000 to send me to college, get me an engineering degree. And I told them, hey, if by May of 2019, I can make $5K a month with this YouTube and this coaching business that I've got, you can't give me shit, I would be free to pursue my business because that would replace the income that I was getting, which was around $40,000 a year, $50,000 a year for my engineering job. So my parents agreed. And right around the date that I graduated, I set out with full intention, full commitment. Okay, I'm gonna have to prove to my parents that I can do this. And guess what happened that month? Prior to that month, I was doing around 1 to 2K a month, signing a couple of clients here and there, and it was sort of consistent. I was wavering between 1 to 4K a month. So it was just up and down. But then May of 2019, I just remember I put so much attachment to this goal of making 5K a month. I really wanted to prove to my dad, you know, I didn't want to disappoint him because I thought he was disappointed in me in pursuing this path. I had a vendetta, I had a plan. So that month, I just made absolutely nothing and it destroyed me. And I could remember every single day my dad would come upstairs and be like, hey, Did you make any sales today? Did you get any money today? Did you collect anything today? Oh, you didn't. Oh, great. See? I'm telling you, it's not going to work. And it almost felt like no one believed in me. I was fighting against all odds, and it was just me against the world. And with that strain on my shoulders, I went through that whole month until literally the last day of the month, I broke down. I'm like, this is it. You know, I was supposed to do this, and now, you know, I failed at it. Wait, I failed at it. The thing that I was afraid of failing at, I actually genuinely failed at it. And I'm just going to keep going. I've been trying every single month, and every single sales call that I got onto, there was so much attachment. I needed this. I really, really needed this. But as soon as that need, that importance went away, guess what happened? The next month, I made my first 8K month. I've never made an 8K month before. Because I released this attachment, I made my first 12K month. The month after, in August, I made my first around 18 to 20K month. All of this was a result of me lowering my importance, which led me to one of the greatest realizations that completely changed my life. The law of balance. There is a subtle balance, a sweet spot between the effort that you put in and the surrender that you have. Now, in ancient yogic knowledge, Patanjali, in the Yoga Sutras, thousands of years ago, described this as the balance between avyasa and vairagya, Sanskrit, for balancing effort and surrender. With all yogic practice, the goal is to attain enlightenment, achieving self-realization. But in this journey, when you're going about your practice, there also has to be a surrender towards it. In the attainment of any goal in your life, you must know what that subtle balance between effort and surrender is. And that's what I just demonstrated to you, because I was putting in the effort. Don't get me wrong, I was really good at taking massive action, but I wasn't surrendering. And if you don't surrender, if your importance level is too high, you disrupt the balance of the universe. How? Through building what's called excess potential. If I take this chalk and I bring it up from ground level, I'm creating gravitational potential that is directly proportional to how much I've raised it. When I give it gravitational potential, it is a potential energy. Just like that, when you inflate, you artificially project importance towards any outcome that you want to achieve, anything out there or any quality that you possess. When you give it too much importance with respect to other things in your life, then you create excessive potential, you create an imbalance. So if you imagine that the field of the universe is sort of uniform, when you put excessive importance with your thought energy towards something, towards that financial goal that you have, towards that partner that you want to manifest, or towards that quality, that insecurity that you have, all of a sudden you bunch up this concentrated attention on that particular quality, which disrupts the balance of the universe. And what does the universe do when we disrupt its balance? It is a perfect system. It will always be in a state of balance, and it will always strive to create balance. So whenever we create an imbalance by putting something on a pedestal, putting that goal on a pedestal, it starts to control us, it starts to run us. The universe then sends balanced forces to bring it back to neutral. And the main way it does it is through taking what's called the path of least resistance. I really want you to pay attention to this, because if you understand this, your life will completely change. The universe takes the path of least resistance to balance out any inhomogeneity that we have in this field. In the example of me wanting to achieve my financial goal, the easy thing for it to do was keep me further and further away from it until I forgot about it and gave up. So that's usually what happens when you generate too much importance towards something. If you are on a tightrope or a plank laid across the ground and you walk across it, your importance level isn't too high. You're just simply walking like you would on the ground. You're safe. But if we raise that plank on top of two very high altitude towers and you have to cross the plank to get to the other side, now your importance level is going to be super, super high. And the easiest thing for nature to do to balance out that excess potential that you generate by fearing, by placing importance on your life with your natural survival instinct, the easiest thing for nature to do is throw you off and plunge you into your own death. It's kind of messed up to think about, but that's what's happening. So when we put something on a pedestal, when we put too much importance on something, we are creating this imbalance, and it's creating balance forces from nature to come in and restore this balance. And usually it restores balance in ways that are unfavorable to you and me. So the thing to understand here is there are two types of importances that we generate. The importance of outer and the importance of inner. Outer importance is when something outside of me gains too much meaning. I put too much meaning on something outside of me. This could be something that you're trying to attain, some goal you're trying to achieve, financial goal, relationship goal, or something you're trying to get. Inner importance is when some quality about me gains too much importance. Think excessive cockiness or excessive modesty. Modesty isn't the right word, but let's say self-deprecation. Whenever you put too much importance on a particular quality I have, oh, I can do anything. I'm better than them, I'm better than this. you generate excessive importance, excessive meaning, and therefore you create an imbalance. So when you become excessively cocky, life throws these tests at you or balanced forces to bring you back down, to show you that you are not that good. I remember when I was doing sales and I got really good at it, I became extremely cocky. I was like, oh, I can close anything. I'm just going to go out there and just close everything. And then I would have streaks, weeks of when I just didn't close anything. But then on the other hand too, I remember feeling very, very down about myself. But then, surprisingly, it's not like the universe gave me the quality that I was putting myself down about. It also kept me down at that level. So when I didn't feel confident about myself, I was getting more and more of something that showed that I shouldn't be confident. When I didn't feel good about my sales ability, or I didn't feel good about the videos that I was making, life would then show me, oh, see, you're not good at making videos. Then I just couldn't understand why this was happening. But upon further investigation, what I realized was that life, again, takes the path of least resistance. It takes the easiest thing for it to do. The easiest thing for it to do is to knock you off your stride or to keep you where you are at. It's really difficult to understand how the universe operates, but we just have to understand that anything that creates an imbalance is something that we should stray away from. Okay, we want to stay at a state of balance and move with pure intention. So let's talk about the two keys that you can use to overcome this imbalance. And in particular, what I realized was to overcome the imbalance of outer importance. When I was placing something on a pedestal, I saw that I was becoming too goal attached. I became too goal oriented. What needed to happen was I needed to become process oriented. When you become process oriented and you fall in love with the process itself of doing something, then you immediately detach from the goal. You immediately take it off the pedestal. It doesn't matter what the goal is. You're simply in love with the process. So Patanjali even talks about it in the Yoga Sutras. He says, fall in love with the act of doing yoga and the result will come. So process oriented simply means falling in love with the process, falling in love with the game. If you listen to really, really successful athletes, they always say one thing. This is very, very shocking for me to hear. The other day I was at a conference and Tom Brady was speaking in it. The guy who was running the conference, Patrick Bet-David, he was like, hey, so what is the secret to your success? Like, why did you become so successful? He was like, I stopped focusing on other people. I just focused on becoming better and better, like a better version of me every single day. I just focused on the process, focused on improving at the drills, and I really just treated it like a game. And he never created imbalance by being cocky or, self-deprecating. He had this certainty, this conviction about himself that he could figure it out, kept himself in balance, and he just focused on becoming incrementally better every single day, just taking it step by step. And I've seen every single successful person talks about this. Kobe Bryant used to talk about this. Michael Jordan used to talk about this. Michael Jordan, when asked, a mother of a kid who was getting into basketball, I think it was a teenager, she was like, how can my son be as good as you? He was like, tell him to fall in love with the game. Because when you fall in love with the game, you stop counting the hours, you stop looking at the next trophy you want to get. You really just focus on getting better and better at it every single day. The second thing you have to understand, and this is the mitigation for inner importance. Whenever you get cocky, you have to bring yourself into balance. Whenever you get self-deprecating, you have to bring yourself into balance. So you have to get to that sweet spot between effort and surrender. And this is what I realized. And one mantra that I say to myself is, I'm neither special nor unspecial. I simply just am. I'm neither great nor ungreat. I'm neither special nor unspecial. I simply am. That realization that I am has always brought me down from being excessively cocky. Think about it this way. Cockiness usually is an artificial projection of confidence. It's not real confidence. Really confident people never need to go out there and say, huh, I'm confident, I can do anything. They never need to even tell themselves they're confident. They just simply go out and do. You don't brag about being able to walk, right? Like, oh, I'm really good at walking. Look at me. I'm very good at balance. Like, I'm better than you. The problem comes when you start to compare yourself with others. Nothing builds excessive potential and imbalance like you comparing yourself to others. When you start to compare yourself to others, you immediately create this importance barrier. I am important than this person. But when you focus on, like Tom Brady and Michael Jordan do, on becoming better than you every single day, your only competitor is who you were yesterday, then you no longer create this excess potential. I am better at sales than I was yesterday. I'm really, really good at sales compared to what I was yesterday, or compared to how I was a year ago, not compared to that person and that person. So when you get into the comparison mode, get into comparing you with yourself. Another thing that I learned is it's best to have pictures instead of other people that you look up to and idolizing other people. It's best to have a picture of yourself and who you see yourself as. Like putting up a picture of yourself and looking at it and thinking of that as the highest expression of yourself, your highest self, instead of trying to be like someone else, walking your own path. You now have to understand the second law, which is the law of intention. Every time we make an intention, life tests us. Why? Now you've just made a resolve to have something. You've made a decision with yourself to have something. If you are not going through tests and you're not being tested, that means you're living in your comfort zone. That means you're not growing. You either grow or you die. There is no staying the same. Staying the same is when the rate of growth and the rate of death are equal. To understand the law of attention, we really have to understand the mirror principle. And what I mean by the mirror principle is what you see externally is a reflection of what? Of the image that you've presented to the mirror internally. Whatever thoughts and feelings that I hold to be true, whatever intentions that I hold to be true, are eventually manifested with a delay. Matter is very inert, so it takes time to move things within space. That's why it's called the space-time continuum. For space to rearrange itself, it takes time. For space to change, it takes time. Most people are not patient. They want it now. We've been trained by everything around us to want things now and then express frustration when we don't get it now. So what needs to happen is we need to cultivate patience, but also we need to have that resolve to hold on to our intentions, not get so distracted by the reflection. What happens to most people? They make an intention, and when they don't see results or something really difficult is happening, they change their attitude. Please understand this. The mirror of reality reflects the attitude that you have towards it. The attitude that you have towards your world is reflected with a delay. The attitude that you have towards yourself is reflected with a delay. If you love your world, you will have more things to love about your world. If you love yourself, you will find more things to love about yourself. More things will be manifested that you love about yourself and your world. The issue is we get distracted by the reflection. So what do you do when you get distracted by the reflection? You have to turn within. I had a client who was trading and he had this short-term goals that he wanted to hit every single month. And it's been month after month, he hasn't been hitting those short-term goals. And he's like, what's going on? I made an intention to level up, do really good with my trading, and it's not happening. Every single month, I just keep missing my targets. And I told him, withdraw your attention from what's happening in the short term. Focus now on the long-term goal. If it doesn't happen this month, next month, 6 months from now, 10 months from now, it will happen. Persist with the intention. Eventually, I think that client took 6 months, 6 or 7 months, until he finally was able to hit his targets with trading. Since 2020, I had a couple of videos do really well on my channel, and I'd been trying to replicate that kind of success. Break like 100,000 views on a video. And for 2-3 years, I persisted with that. But my attitude was kind of shaky. I'd feel really good about YouTube, but then I would abandon YouTube. I'd be like, it doesn't work. I'd be in denial. Because I couldn't make it work, I would abandon it. I suppose the beginning of 2022, I made the decision to go all in on YouTube. And I invested all of my time and attention and energy and my money on YouTube. I tried to allocate all of my resources to making really good videos, gaining lots of subscribers and views, because that's really what I wanted. And I still do want. And it took me about 8 months until the results started happening. I had to stay with that intention, stay with that resolve for 8-9 straight months until November of last year, we saw a first spike. And we went from doing like maybe a couple 100,000 views per month to doing over 2 million views a month. It literally 10x'd within 2 or 3 months. I know that's all a result of me holding on to that image that I presented, persisting with it and not giving up on it like I had done before. When you start to hold strong to that image and you turn away from whatever is happening right now in the short term, whatever is passing, because this is the pass-through stage. If you're not seeing the result match with your intention, it means you're going through a pass-through stage where your reality is revitalizing itself. The old needs to clear for the new to come in. Remember that delay principle. You have to understand one of the deepest Hermetic principles, the law of cause and effect. The law of cause and effect, in particular, what Hermetic principle states is you have to learn how to be at the cause and not the effect. When we let the outside dictate what's inside and how we feel, we're at the mercy of our surroundings. That is no way to live for a reality creator. You have to be at the cause and dictate what the effects should be. So when you're at the cause and you turn away from the world, you turn away from the reflection, you only peek to see if progress has been made or to evaluate and not express dissatisfaction, then you truly become at the cause and not the effect. The other crucial thing that I always remember was this quote by Napoleon Hill, that a weak plan executed with a definiteness of purpose will always trump a strong plan executed with an indefiniteness of purpose. The weak-willed will always fall out. All you need to have is a strong will. If you're very strongly resolute about the thing that you want, even if you don't have the right plan will show itself. If you hold to the image for long enough, reality will have no choice but to reflect it. It has nothing else to reflect. If your internal world is kept neat and tidy, you're going to see neat and tidy in your external world. There is just no other way about it. To really bring it together, we have to get to the third law, the law of expansion. I want you to take a moment to reflect on what happened to you when you were a kid, versus now versus what's going to happen in the future? What kind of pattern have you seen about yourself and your identity? I've noticed that every time in my life I've grown, my old self, my old limited self, it died and dissolved into something greater. This is what happens when we have a paradigm shift. Your old beliefs, you don't completely forget them, but you recontextualize them into this larger, greater paradigm. I used to believe that it wasn't possible to make money online, but it's not that that belief died now. Now I understand why some people would believe that. And now I can see the bigger picture of what happens to people who do believe that you can make money online, or when that belief shifts. So what happens is this old self that you had, the old ways of thinking and being, they never really disappear. They get dissolved, kind of like salt in water. It dissolves and it becomes one with something larger. The word yoga literally means union, to become one with the greater part that we became a small part of, and we started to believe that we're this small part. So when you make an intention to grow, what you're essentially doing is you're operating outside of your zone of comfort. So let's say currently your zone of comfort is this little circle. When I went from the 9-to-5 Quazi to the online business Quazi, my comfort zone expanded. I was met with a lot of tests, a lot of challenges. I was responsible for my own income. I was responsible for paying my own taxes. This is something new to me. But then I started to get comfortable with that. So I had to grow. We're growing at every single level, right? Like when you go from a 1-person team to a 5-person team, when you go from 10K a month to 100K a month to $1 million a month. When you're going through tests in life, when you make an intention, you're essentially operating outside of your comfort zone. But for most people, what happens is when they get outside of this comfort zone, it's unfamiliar, so they return and they retreat back. They go back to that old comfort zone. But when you successfully operate outside of this little comfort zone to this bigger comfort zone, the boundaries get blurred. This old comfort zone, it gets dissolved in this large view of the world that you have. You can understand your old viewpoint and who you were and why you were that way. You empathize and you feel for that little self that you had because you couldn't see anything past your little world and your little point of view, right? But now you can. The same way with the online business that I could see when I started, now I can see why people would be skeptical, why people would not try because it's just too comfortable getting a paycheck every single week. It's too addicting. One thing that really helped me expand my comfort zone, the crucial thing I want you to take away. Make yourself do one uncomfortable thing every day. If you make yourself do one uncomfortable thing every single day and you train yourself as a habit to become uncomfortable, when push comes to shove and you're tested in your reality, you will have the grit and determination to be able to see and notice what's happening and push yourself through it. I didn't want to make YouTube videos when I was at my lowest in May of 2019, but I knew that's what was necessary for me. True freedom in life isn't about being able to do what you like and avoid what you dislike. True freedom is the ability to do anything that's necessary of you in this very moment, but to do it completely joyfully. You're joyful regardless of what you're doing. If you want to take this to the next level, what I've done for you is I've gone ahead and recorded a 1-hour, 32-minute long workshop titled the Identity Shifting Workshop, where we discuss the 4 main pillars of reality creation that you need to attain a permanent shift in your life. It's the same system that's helped me and literally 1,000 of our clients, over 1,000 of our clients from our flagship Reality Mastery program. The 4 pillars are awareness, clarity, creation, and coordination. This was a tiny sliver of it. You can literally go down to the pinned comments or description to access it. You'll also get access to a 8-page workbook that goes very, very in-depth with everything you're going to learn in there. Guys, this is just my way of saying thanks for 500,000 subscribers. We literally just hit 500,000 subscribers, and I couldn't have done it without you. We couldn't have done it without you. So I'm really, really grateful, and I'm excited to make better stuff for you to help every single human being on earth to master their destinies. My hope with all of my free content is if you're someone who wants to become an entrepreneur and gain control over your own destiny, kind of like I did, I would like for my free stuff to at least get you to 5K a month. So when you're ready to get from 5K a month to 6 figures by really leveling up your internal world to 6, 7, 8 figures, I hope you choose to work with us in our paid programs, mentorship with me, when the time comes. So I'll see you in this training, this workshop right now. Thanks.